show with Michael Halatek, yours truly, and my co-host Ivan Vargas. Ivan, good evening.
What's up, Michael? How are you?
I'm doing good. It looks like we had a little technical difficulties to start the show, and our pregame introduction didn't play. But here we are. We are now 5-1, sitting tied right now with the Green Bay Packers for first place in the NFC North. And with a win tonight over the Los Angeles Rams, not only can we regain sole possession of the NFC North, we can be the Bears can be the first NFC team to hit the 6-win mark in the 2020 season.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. I feel like this, with the questions nationally being brought up about the Bears, there's no questions about the Rams. The teams that they beat, the way they played recently in recent weeks, and and there's no. It almost seems to me like they're just like everybody in the national media is overlooking how good this Bears defense is, and how good this pass rush is becoming, and how good this secondary already is.
Yep. So let's talk about the Carolina game before we get into all of that. We got a fast start from that defense with a sack that almost resulted in a safety, and then the very next pass play was tipped by our favorite rookie defensive back, and right into the arms of Gibson, who returned it almost for a pick six. But that started us off with a great beginning spot for the Bears offense, and turned into 7 points immediately.
Yeah, and you know what? It's good to see. It's good to see Robert Quinn being active. I know he hasn't. The sack numbers aren't there, but he's been around. He's been forcing. He's been causing pressure. He's been in the quarterback's face. He's been doing everything that you could ask of him. Opposite of Khalil Mack. So I'm looking for Robert Quinn to have a big game, because I think they're going to start keying on Mack. Khalil's been having he had a huge couple of weeks these past 2 weeks, and I feel like they're going to key on him a little more tonight. So it'll be Robert Quinn one-on-one majority of the time.
I think you're right, and Mario Edwards has been playing his tail off the last couple of weeks, and as he's getting more acclimated to the system and getting his wind up to game speed, you might see some action from him. But let's not discount Khalil Mack for a minute, because they played the Rams in prime time last year, and Khalil Mack did not register one sack or one tackle. It's like the third time in his entire career where he played in a game but didn't register even at least one tackle. And don't think for 1 minute he doesn't remember that.
Yeah, he's gonna be hungry. He's gonna be hungry. He wants. I think Khalil's been on a redemption tour. It's almost been like a revenge tour, to be honest with you. He's been more active. He's been more vocal. He's been getting after it on the football field. That game against Tampa Bay, how the jawing, the back and forth between him and Tom Brady, the how they were both animated, and how he just kept getting to the quarterback. He just kept getting there. His pure will just got him to the quarterback. And when he plays motivated, as you could see, good things happen for this defense.
The defense was absolutely solid. Again, I don't know where they're statistically ranked in the NFL after our first 6 games, but I tell you what, there's not this. If I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm not sleeping if I'm getting ready to prepare for this Bears defense. Jalen Johnson continues to shine. His defensive pass interference was absolutely a brutal call. Mario Edwards, I already talked about. Mingo every time he's on the field, he flashes. Roy Robertson Harris, Houston Carson, and the list goes on and on and on. And we're probably forgetting, Kyle Fuller. Kyle Fuller has been just playing at a Pro Bowl level. And the most interesting thing is Eddie Jackson has had 2 pick sixes called back because of penalties. One was a legit call, the first one. The second one was an absolute brutal call. that cost the Bears a touchdown. But the Bears continue to win, and you know what? They're winning ugly. But Nick Foles talked about that in his presser after the game, and I'm gonna echo his sentiment. Would you rather win ugly or lose pretty? It doesn't matter if you're not the best team in the league. You only have to be the best team on the field game that they're playing. I don't care about the other 30 teams in the league. I'm only worried about the team they're playing and who's got more points at the end of the game tonight.
Absolutely right. And, sometimes I tend to look into the future a little bit just because I'm looking at one team, and that's the Green Bay Packers. Because I know in order to win a division, it has to go through Lambeau. You have to beat the Packers. So I do look ahead in that aspect, but I get what you're saying. Like it's all about this game right here, right now. You're playing the Rams. Focus on the Rams, and I feel like the Rams are a bit overrated. They've beaten 3 NFC East teams in 3 of their 4 wins. They beat 4 NFC East teams. Excuse me, 4 NFC East teams. They beat the NFC East. So now it's like you're looking at it like, oh well, is this team for real, or were they just playing really shitty teams? And I don't know what the answer is.
Well, they've played 2 teams outside of the NFC East, the Buffalo Bills, and they lost, and San Francisco last week, and they lost. So you're absolutely right. This is a beatable team tonight.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest with you, it's going to take this offensive line to really, really rally together, and smother the defensive line of the Rams, especially Aaron Donald, he's a freak of nature, the best defensive tackle possibly ever. It's going to be a tough task, but for the most part, in the past few years, the Bears have done a okay job with it.
They have done an okay job, and you can go back to 2006 to 2010. You can go back to 1985. The Bears feed off of the prowess of the defensive unit. And that's what feeds the energy into this team. And, we've never had a powerhouse offense. The last time the Bears led the league in passing, 1965. And that was Gale Sayers' rookie year. It wasn't the run. It was the passing game that really opened up the running game in 1965. In 1995, it was Eric Kramer who has the all-time record for touchdown passes in a season by a Bears quarterback. And he didn't even have 29 touchdown passes. We haven't broken a 4,000-yard passer in ever. You have to go all the way back to Sid Luckman, who had one of the greatest quarterbacking seasons of all time when he almost had 14% of every pass thrown ended up in a touchdown.
I mean, that's
how pathetic our passing game has been.
That's too long. It's too long, Mike. That's too long for me. And you know what? It's some people say like that. Some people like to point to some of the good things Ryan Pace has done. But to me, the most damning it wasn't Kevin White, and I know Kevin White got hurt, but it's still your first pick, and it was a bust. It wasn't Leonard Floyd. It was Mitch. It was 1, 2, 3. You're out. Like you didn't get a pass. Like you failed on a playmaking receiver, you failed on a pass rusher, and you failed on a quarterback. So for me, the struggles of the Chicago Bears lie within those 3 picks. Think about if you hit on those 3 picks. Or just 2 of those picks, 1 of those picks, at least the quarterback, if you could hit. Why can't the Bears, why has the Bears organization been lacking in trying to find a true signal call, a true leader first and foremost? Because I think what we're seeing with Nick Foles is great for this offense. So you find a true leader, but somebody who's not afraid to go out there and wing it. So somebody's not afraid to go out there and I'm pretty much saying put your balls out there and go play some football, because I feel like Mitch is timid because he's such a good, and I'm going to use one of Sean's references. Mitch is such a good soldier. He'll do what you say, coach. He'll do what you say, but he's just kind of going through the motions. He's not really it's all lip service with Mitch. You gotta find a guy who you got to find a guy like a Joe Burrow. To be honest with you, you got to find somebody with some tenacity, a chip on his shoulder that wants to come into Chicago and change everything.
You know, you mentioned Burrow, and he had a hell of a game, but the stud of this quarterback class this year is Herbert for the Chargers. This guy is going to be awesome. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, and then we're going to get more into this game tonight against the Rams.
I just heard my favorite band is in town. I'd love to get good seats, but everywhere I've looked, the ticket sites have crazy service fees.
Haven't you heard of TixSplits?
Who?
TixSplits. They don't gouge you with crazy fees. The price they advertise is the price you pay, plus a small delivery fee.
Never pay service fees again. Go to TixSplits.com today. TixSplits.com. Guaranteed seats, low prices. That's TixSplits.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.
And use promo code BEARS, BEARS. You'll get 5% on entire order. And remember, you never pay a service fee at TixSplits.com. Keys to the game. This is going to be another dogfight, just like it has been over the last 2 seasons. Jared Goff is 1-1 against the Bears. He has 0 touchdowns and 5 interceptions against the team. 4 them though were in the game in 2018 at Soldier Field.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's, you know, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it because part of what they did at Soldier Field and part of what they did in LA is what I need them to do, and it's gonna be one of my keys to the game. So I'll save mine.
You're gonna save and make me go first, huh? Which is okay. The key to go ahead and throw my keys up if you got them.
Oh no, I've got to get that clip. I'm sorry about that. I got the number 1 right now. I got the picture though.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't see, but pressuring. You've got to pressure Goff. You got to pressure Goff with a 4-man line. If like you did in each of the last 2 years, and force him to throw, 7 guys. They got to double Cooper Kupp. They got to keep him from torching him, and if they can get to Jared Goff with just a 4-man rush and maybe an occasional blitz from the interior line, so you've got the guys on the edges covered, I think you're going to see a huge success rate from the Bears. The Bears had 4 sacks last week. I expect to see them having at least that many sacks this week.
I would hope so. Especially with the way that
a little bit of technical difficulty here. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think you're lagging a bit, Mike. Well, I do see that pressuring Goff it being the biggest key. I said I do see pressuring Goff being the biggest key, and that's going to be one of my keys. I'm just going to be a spoiler alert. That's one of my keys is pressuring Goff because he has cement shoes. He has cement shoes. You know what I mean? Like if you get him on the run, if you get him going anywhere, he can't throw the ball. He cannot throw the ball on the move. Period. And even honestly, even the slightest deterioration of his eyesight to his receiver to his window, any type of move left or right or even forward, I don't trust him throwing the ball. He needs to be protected at all times. And if they could disrupt that offensive line and that protection, it's going to be easy pickings for the Bears.
The second key that I've got for today's game is to ground out the clock. If we can dominate the time of possession in this game, keeping the Bears defense fresh so they can continue to pressure Goff all throughout the game, that's going to be a key to tonight's game. But they haven't done it very well at all this year. The running game's not working and we've talked about the offensive line woes just about every week since week 3. because they've regressed.
Right.
Part of it maybe is because of the injury to Daniels, but part of it might be defensive schemes that some defensive coordinators have figured out about this Bears offensive line. But they're going to have to use the short passes to control the clock. That West Coast style of offense that is, and Nagy's offense is a hybrid of the West Coast style. So they've got to set up the run by using short passes and then attack the field. One thing we haven't seen at all this year, we haven't seen the Bears utilize the middle of the field, and I'd love to see them use either Mooney or Miller as well as a tight end in the middle of the field. If you look at just about every reception that Mooney has so far this year, it's outside the numbers.
Yep, on the outside.
And if we can get a quick seam pass or a slant where he can take it, cut up the middle. You saw Pittsburgh do it well yesterday. One turned into a long touchdown. The ball traveled maybe 12 yards in the air, and the receiver took it another 60 for a touchdown. That's what we've got to see from this offense tonight is watch Foles, work the clock, use the entire field, not just outside the numbers, and get an effective running game going and wear the defensive line out later in the game. One of the keys that we talked about, we were on our sister show right before we came on, and the key to suppressing what's his name, Arnold, the lineman for the Rams, who's one of the best of all time, and I can't remember. But run right at him so he can't use his speed to pursue the running back. And then my third key to the game is touchdowns over field goals. On my Twitter account, I'm constantly saying touchdowns in the field goal since 2006, and this year has been no exception. We started off great. We had 10 touchdown passes in the first 4 games, and now all of a sudden our touchdown pass production has fallen off. And again, you gotta point the finger at the offensive line, because the offensive line is getting thrown right back into Foles' lap. And you have no accuracy if you're going to do it that way.
And you got to think that like you said, the lack of consistency with the offensive line, they've left plays out on the field. I know. You could blame in the Colts game. You could blame Anthony Miller not being able to corral that ball late in the game that ended up being an interception. You could blame Charles Leno Jr. in the Tampa Bay game that allowed Nick Foles to get sacked when Cordero Patterson was running free on a wheel route out of the backfield in the end zone. And, it's really, you could point the finger at everybody, but enough's enough. You ultimately go back to the head coach and his team's preparation. How are they prepared? How is that offensive line prepared? Why are they continuing to make mistakes you can't justify them? They're just unforgivable. You cannot have these mistakes, some of the mistakes on the offensive line, and I hope that they're corrected today. I'm leaning towards it, this game being it's going to be a battle, but I feel like this offensive line versus the Rams defensive line is going to be the story of the game.
Can't disagree with you at all. Hey, I want to throw a quick shout out to a gentleman who lives out in the San Francisco area, Patrick Shire, who's been commenting. So if you guys are out there watching the show live, throw some comments down underneath our screen. Throw them out there. Ask some questions. If we have time, we'll get to. But can't thank Patrick enough for being watching the show and throwing a couple of comments out there. But he's absolutely right. A win is a win, no matter what. Doesn't matter if we win by 1 point or 40 points. It still counts the same in the standings. Well, any other keys for the game on your side?
Yeah, my last two, and like I said, we shared the one. My last two is protect the football. You got to protect the football. You have Jalen Ramsey out there on the outside, one of the guys that we haven't even gotten to on that defense. We've been talking about Aaron Donald in the middle the entire time, but Jalen Ramsey is a ball hawk. He's one of the top corners in the NFL. There's what more can you say? You got the number one pass rushing defensive tackle on the line, and you got probably arguably the top corner in the NFL. They make everybody else around them better because you cannot go to that. You can't just be lackadaisical running up the gut. You can't be lackadaisical on any type of block on Aaron Donald. You can't run a lazy ass route if you're a Anthony Miller against a guy like Jalen Ramsey. He may or even his teammates, because he makes everybody better. Like I said, him being the shutdown corner that he is, everybody else can eat. It makes it easier for everybody else. And Aaron Donald putting pressure on Nick Foles, it's all together. They have two world-class football players, and majority of the time, that's all they need.
You made a good point about Ramsey, and listening to a couple of pregame shows earlier today, one of the things that the Rams are doing different with him that we hadn't seen before is he isn't always glued on the best receiver. They use him in blitz situations. They use him in other situations. So we need to be smart with the ball. And when Foles can recognize what Ramsey's doing, that's when you throw the ball to Robinson to make it hurt when he's not being covered by Ramsey.
Right. And, I mentioned it because you saw – and can I blame him? Yes. Is it his fault? No. Well, yes and no. The interception last week against the Panthers. I understand the pressures there. I understand you're trying to make a play, but you just got to either take that sack or throw the ball away. You just got to you just received a turnover. You just got a turnover, and you gave it right back. It burned my soul to see.
It was a bad play by Foles.
It burned my soul to see that. It burned my soul to see that. When they give you a gift, you got to capitalize. There's no you were pretty much on the 30. You might as well you had points. There was points sewn up right there with 3. You could have had a chance for 7, but that type of stuff cannot happen with this team.
And your last key to victory.
Last key to victory: run the football. Run the football. Run the football. You got to get them get bodies on the ground tend to wear out. Bodies up and down. Big bodies. You have to wear them out. You have to run the football. I know they've been struggling, but I feel like if they keep chipping away, they're going to find a hole. And granted, it's you're going up against Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald isn't playing every position on that D line or every position on that football field as a defenseman. So for me, run that football, wear them out, give Nick Foles another option. Give your team another option for yards, but and also take the pressure off of him. You take the pressure off Nick Foles, you see what he could do. I mean, he's just a smart veteran quarterback that, if you protect him, can protect the ball and get it done for you.
Absolutely. Hey, it's time now for our history corner. But before we get there, our inactives for tonight: McManus is out, Artavis Pierce is out, Hambright, Ridley, and Travis Gibson are inactives for this evening. In our history corner today, of course, we're talking about the Rams. Now, this is the 93rd regular season meeting between the Rams and the Bears. Bears hold an all-time edge of 53, 36, and 3. They play twice in the postseason, and if you're old enough to remember, the last time they met in the preseason was the NFC title game in 1985, when they destroyed the Rams 24-0 on their way to a Super Bowl victory against the Patriots in Super Bowl 20. This rivalry started in 1937 when the Rams first came into the league as the Cleveland Rams, and then they moved out to Los Angeles they moved into St. Louis, and then they moved back out to LA again. The Bears actually faced the Rams twice per year from 1937 until 1966, with the exception of 2 years in 43 where they didn't meet, in 1951 where they only met one time. And most recently, the Bears have won 6 of their last 8 meetings against the Rams, which leads us to our last segment because we're kind of getting pushed on time. The pick is in, and I'm going to let you go first.
All right, you know what? I feel like this is going to be a good game for the Chicago Bears. I feel like, we ran into the Bucs, right? First it was the Bucs. The Bucs are going to beat them. The Bucs are going to show everybody that the Bears are frauds. Then it was the Panthers are going to show everybody that the Bears are frauds. Now it's the Rams are going to show. Like I'm done with the BS narrative that the Bears aren't good. I know that they're good, and I know that the potential on offense is there. It's the execution that I need to happen, and I think they're going to take advantage of the lack of pass rush. I mean, you have one guy on that line that scares me, truthfully, and you have Leonard Floyd, playing outside linebacker with them. And Floyd plays good coverage, but does that really scare? Does that the rest of that team besides 2 guys scare you? Yeah, they can make everybody better, but if you go ahead and you find your weakness and you can pick on them, I think you could find. I think you could expose them a little bit, just like Buffalo did. My pick is going to be Bears, 27. Oh yeah, Bears 27-16.
There you go. And now I'm going to contradict myself from what I said in my points to victory. I think the Bears are going to be victorious. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but they're going to end up settling for 3 field goals instead of touchdowns, but they will prevail tonight over the Rams by a final score of 23-13. That about does it for this week's episode of the Barely pregame show. I want to thank my co-host, Ivan Vargas, and SportsZone Chicago for giving us the platform to bring this to you every week.
Definitely, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We got the Basement Monsters podcast with me and my buddy Luke Nettles coming up 6:45. We'll lead it up right into right up to game time. We just talking crap, drinking. Luke doesn't like the Bears. He's a Tampa Bay Bucs fan, so it makes for a good time. It makes for good bickering. So tune in.
Bear down.
Bear down, guys.
I just heard my favorite band is in town. I'd love to get good seats, but everywhere I've looked, the ticket sites have crazy service fees.
Haven't you heard of TixSplits?
Who?
TixSplits. They don't gouge you with crazy fees. The price they advertise is the price you pay, plus a small delivery fee.
Never pay service fees again. Go to TixSplits.com today. TixSplits.com. Guaranteed seats, low prices. That's TixSplits.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.